what is blockchain? Now, blockchain is a network where the participants or the people on the network independently verify a transaction. What do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example. Let's assume Postnet ran on a blockchain network. And what this would mean is every single branch or franchise would be on the blockchain. Now, if a sender, so let's say, for instance, I come along, I walk into a Postnet in Pretoria, and I drop off a parcel. What will happen simultaneously is the blockchain network will record that John T. Sachs has dropped off a parcel in Pretoria, and that parcel is destined for Cape Town. But simultaneously, Bloemfontein, George, Cape Town, Johannesburg, and the rest of the branches will record on their ledger, independently from each other, that John T. has dropped the parcel off in Pretoria and is destined for Cape Town. Then what happens is a delivery man collects the parcel, Mr. X. As he collects the parcel, again, across every single branch or franchise of Postnet, every single ledger independently will verify that Mr. X has collected John T's parcel in Pretoria, destined for Cape Town. The driver then drives to Bloemfontein. When he arrives there, every single branch or office of Postnet will record he's now arrived in Bloemfontein. Now, this is a simple example, but what this blockchain has achieved is that first, it prevents potential of any ledger or records being erased or manipulated or fraud effectively to occur. Because what would happen is if the delivery person arrived in Bloemfontein and wanted to collude with the head of the branch in Bloemfontein and decided to erase the fact that my parcel has arrived in Bloemfontein, he would need to do that in George, in Cape Town, in Johannesburg, and across every other peer on the network. Now, on 5 networks, if there are 5 peers, potentially it's possible. But when we're talking thousands and millions of peers on a network, it's impossible. And that's a fundamental benefit of a blockchain network, is that it allows independence. It prevents one authoritative figure controlling the network, making decisions which might not be in the best interest of the peers or the people on the network. So I gave you an example of Postnet. Now, my personal belief is that the technology around blockchain is really the future for many, many businesses and for people that use these businesses. And I'll give you a few examples that I think you can relate to. So currently the JSE, when you do a transaction on the JSE and you buy shares, a central body called Straight verifies the transaction. It says John T has purchased X amount of Anglo Gold shares. Now, this transaction could easily be done on the blockchain at a fraction of the cost that Straight pays, and at a speed, a rate which increases the efficiencies tenfold. If you look at what happened earlier in the year with the JSE had its largest trading day, and the next day it opened much later because it was still in the process of finalizing trades. Well, that wouldn't happen on a blockchain. Transactions can happen relatively very quickly and very efficiently and at a really small cost. Another example is CompuTicket. So let's assume there's a comedian and I log on to CompuTicket's website. I purchase a ticket. As soon as my ticket is purchased, all the role players will be informed. The actor will know there's a ticket sale. The venue will know how many tickets are being sold. The suppliers of the lighting will know and potentially receive payment. And me as a consumer, I will receive, and I'll discuss this a bit later, an NFT, a digital token representing my ticket. I could then potentially sell that to someone else on the market, or I could keep it as memorabilia. But these are just a few examples of many, many businesses which I believe in time will adopt blockchain technology. The question is, which network will they choose? And if you're an investor and if you've chosen one or multiple blockchain networks which you think will be adopted at a much higher rate, then the potential for returns is really, really significant. And we'll touch on a couple of these examples a bit later. But I think as a fundamental, what you need to understand is a blockchain is a network, effectively infrastructure, where the peers, the people on the network, independently verify transactions. Now, the polar opposite is a centralized network. And there are a number of examples that we deal with today. The Reserve Bank is a good example, where the peers, being the banks, report to the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank is the central decision maker. It controls decisions. It issues decisions which may not be at the benefit of individuals. Another example is the Master's Office. Property sales, we all know how long it can take to transfer a property. In the future, there's a high probability that all property sales will be done on a blockchain, instantaneously, safely, securely, and at a very, very low cost. But at the same time, securing the purchaser and seller's details and ensuring that the true owner is verified and registered to that property. So where does blockchain fit into the cryptocurrency ecosystem? Well, if you look at the bottom of the screen, blockchain technology is really the infrastructure, and it's referred to in the cryptocurrency world as layer one. It's the bottom layer of cryptocurrencies. Then businesses, or the correct term is protocols, build on top of these blockchain infrastructure and then operate their businesses or protocols. And I'm going to